I used to say yes to everything because that was the right thing to do. And then I was very unhappy and many times feeling bad, and I didn't know why. I was like, well, I say yes to this. I want to do this plan. I want to go to this party. I want to go to this trip. I would say yes because I thought that was a normal thing to do, you know? But with the years, I noticed that deep within myself, I didn't want to do it. There were, for example, in my teenage, I wanted to fit in, so going to parties, and just, because it was the way to meet other people and to do things that after school, you don't want to be at home doing nothing. You want to be with your friends and have fun. But I've never been into those kind of plans. Like maybe I've been always kind of older than that, or not older, but like I never really enjoyed. I could enjoy for 1 hour going to a club, or I didn't even like drinking, but I did it too because otherwise, I will be the weirdo. I will be the, I think also it was very related to, obviously, for being like accepted, but also what I learned in society, to say things yes, even though you don't want to. And then I feel like it builds up a little bit of resentment there against yourself and sometimes against the other person, and it's not their fault. There was one time that one of my therapists told me one time, like not many years ago, like maybe a few years ago. He told me something like, well, he didn't tell me. He asked me if I had problems with setting boundaries. And I was like, no, I'm so confident. I know I say no when I don't want to do something. And then I thought a little bit in depth, and then I realized that I actually used to be a people pleaser in many ways, to be liked and feeling safe in that. So yeah, I don't know, I feel like this thing of we need to sacrifice for others, you don't need to be selfish, because if you just think about yourself, you're just being selfish. Or this kind of service thing that not for everybody is natural. I have to be honest with myself. I don't think like I'm a very service person. I'm more a quality person, like quality time person, or physical touch. Like just I'm more kind of like that. Mostly or positive affirmations. Like I like to share my the positivity, like for example saying good things that I see about people that I like. For example, oh, such a beautiful dress, for example. Like I'm good at sharing positivity and good vibes in that way, like more with words or with my time, but not like a service, like, oh, I do it because I have to, not because I want to. And I feel like, I would say that that's what the shift that happened in my life. And it was when my psychologist, right, really asked me, like, because I was telling him, obviously, my problems and things. That's why I was talking with him. And he asked me that question just very direct. And I was kind of like, no. And then it's like, yes. And I started to think about every situation of my life that I was saying yes just because I thought that I had to, or because somehow I put pressure on myself that I had to, or because I was taught that I had to. Thankfully, I noticed that when I was saying yes to what I really wanted to do, I was happy, I was feeling good. I was like, okay, I decided to do yes, why not? Regardless the experience was at the end good or bad, I think is more up to me how I want to see the process of the experience. I believe that what I focus, my energy goes. What I focus, so it's like it was in that case. I think it's up to me. But when I say no to things I didn't want to do, and that's a pretty recent thing in my life, like a few years ago, probably after my therapist, and I started to say no to things I didn't want to do. In the beginning, I felt guilty. I felt like I was being selfish, or I was doing something wrong. I was feeling like I was the villain of this because I say no to something that I don't really feel like doing. But for me, at some point, I understood this. It was about, if I'm not feeling good saying yes to something that I don't want to do, but I'm feeling bad for saying no to something I don't want to do, I realized that at the end of the day, I felt better in saying no, even though I felt a bit guilty, because it just, for me, didn't work out, like saying yes and saying that. It just felt like I was betraying myself just because of the sake of I have to say yes. Saying no, it was a way to take responsibility of what I want, who I am, choosing, and be able to choose for myself instead of letting others to choose what I want. It took a while. It took many years for me to change that pattern. Now, many people say that I'm very direct and very communicative. Yes, I am. But I mean, this has been a process. This is a big process of my life. That now I'm 30. I feel like I'm more myself than ever before. But it's been a lot of work, because it's been a lot of times that I was, overthinking a lot, analyzing everything, every step that I was doing, and about the other person, what the other person would think, what was the consequences to say no, I don't go to that event, as well the FOMO, the fear of missing out. Things that rationally didn't make sense, because it's like, if I don't want to do that, I'm not gonna miss anything, because it's not me, it's not what I want. But at least when I was younger, I just wanted to be liked and accepted. Now I like myself and accept myself. I'm still working towards that direction of, hey, I don't want to say yes to things that I don't want. But at the same time, I don't want to say always no. So I'm still in this process of the balance. I feel like it's about balance, So this has been a big change in my life, of being honest, authentic, loyal to myself, because sometimes when I see people doing that, for example, that they say yes to something and then they change them, I say, I know, I actually cannot put any excuse. Like, it's, for me, it's very obvious that it was an excuse. And I also did that, because I also did that. And I feel like, why just say no? And then it's like, let's figure out later, you know? Because I think it's healthier, it's better, and we are humans and we all have things going on in our lives. You know, and I've learned to understand that not everybody will say yes to me, not everybody will reply just right after when I text them, and they're not gonna text me back just right away, or let's meet, and they will say yes. I don't really expect that anymore, because I understand that people have their lives and their things going on, and that's it. So that's it just for today. Thank you very much for tuning in.